Okay, let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon. Oh, no, wait, because everyone's from everywhere. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. I'm speaking from Ghana, so it is afternoon here. Um, yeah, so just a few notices before we get started. You can ask a question at any time during this talk by clicking the blue Ask a Question button in the bottom and right hand corner of your screen. Um, Feel free to ask whenever you're ready. Today, I will be talking about why you shouldn't just set goals, but you should also build systems to go along with them. Um, this talk was birthed out of I guess it was birthed out of a viral article, but the viral article was birthed out of a conversation that I was having with a friend of mine. I guess it was about towards the back end of last year. We was having a conversation about goals and setting goals and all of these things. And my mate was super confident about the new year coming, the goals he was about to set for it for the new year, what he wanted to accomplish. But this was coming off the back of being extremely disappointed with the year he had just had. And I was just like, why do you think things will be different? And he was just like, no, I could just feel it. You know, I've got a good vibe about myself. So yeah, that's the where the whole concept of why you shouldn't just set goals and build systems came about, or why you shouldn't just set goals came about. And how I feel, or why I feel I'm qualified to talk about this topic, is because within the past decade, I've gone from a taekwondo fighter. I was a taekwondo fighter who was coached by one of Team GB's top coaches. His name is Richard Allen, and he tipped me. He tipped me to represent Team GB in the 2012 Olympics, which didn't happen because by that time I lost interest in taekwondo and was more interested in football, soccer for anyone who's listening from the US. Whilst I was playing football, I rose to the place. I rose to a point of professional football. So I was playing professionally. Um, in 2014 and 2016, respectively, I was offered two professional contracts to further contract extensions to prolong my stay at the clubs that I was at, each club. And I turned them down. The first one was more personal reasons. The second one was because I was in my new line of work or line of whatever I was doing, where I was preaching. And I felt like at that time where I was just getting closer to God, I didn't want to leave London. The club was about 3 hours away. I didn't want to leave London because I felt like I wasn't ready to be far away from church. So turned down that contract. And then I remained there for about 4 years. And later on, this is another story for another day, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that the church that I thought was a church was a cult. But before I realized that, I was preaching and leading a congregation of about 70 people. And then, of course, I've moved on from there. More recently, I was working as a machine learning engineer, and because of my past as a footballer, I didn't have the qualifications required to work as a machine learning engineer. So all of my development and everything was self-taught. I taught myself the maths. I taught myself how to code, and everything. And more recently, I've been doing more solopreneur work, helping people with goal setting and coaching and writing online, Medium specifically. My stories have reached more than 2.6 million people over the past 2 years. And yeah, that's why I feel like I've oh wait. I've in achieving all of those goals, I've followed specific systems which have allowed me to reach at least the heights that I get to, and then be able to decide, oh no, maybe this isn't for me, and move on. So that's the exact system I'm going to share with you guys. All of that was done within the space of a decade. Hopefully, this time I can stick with something I care about. But yeah, so let's get into it. I got about 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes to speak. All right, cool. So what is the problem with goal setting? I believe the problem with goal setting is we've all been sold a lie. Goal setting is not how you achieve the things that you want in life. Don't get me wrong, a goal is certainly required for direction. However, thinking is how you will get what you want to achieve is completely flawed thinking. Think of it, one way to think of it is like this. You don't think you will arrive at a destination just because you enter it into your GPS. Similar sort of concept. But let me go into the reasons why I say, or the 3 reasons I've given for goal setting being a problem. There's one, you've got the positive fantasy trap. This is when you become over invested in achieving your goal. The only thing you can think about is the goal. You feel excited, you feel joy, relief. It's called the positive fantasy trap, or the positive fantasy trap. Psychologists have found that it's the number one way that you can unintentionally deter your brain from realizing the goals. Basically, because you're just fantasizing about it. You're indulging in the desired future mentally without doing any work to achieve it. And yeah, so that's one reason. The second reason, we've got the outcomes first trap, which is the fact that goals hone in on the outcome and not necessarily the process. It doesn't take into consideration the development required to maintain the outcome. I think the best example to look at for this is lottery winners. I believe there was a stat that says 70% of lottery winners go broke, and a third of them declare bankruptcy within 3 to 5 years, and is simply down to the fact that the symptom was what was treated, but the cause was untouched. Just to give you a better perspective of what I mean, the symptom in this scenario is being broke. That's what the outcome is, the change, and the cause was lousy spending habits, which was untouched. Hence why they went straight back to the position they found themselves in before they won the lottery. And it's easy to get caught in the trap of thinking about outcomes first, because when you're in a situation, you're extremely conscious of it. When you're broke, you genuinely feel broke. So your mind is about on the brokenness. When you're overweight, you feel overweight. You're thinking about the overweight. So it's easy to see why thinking the problem is actually the outcome when there's actually a deeper level to it. So yes, you can win the lottery. Yes, you can get liposuction. But if the underlying cause is not treated to the problem, then you're going to be right back where you found yourself before you got yourself lucky. And then the third problem with just setting goals is what I call the failure state trap. This is when you say stuff like, when I achieve X, I'll be happy. It's a byproduct of goal first mentality, is when you push happiness to some later date in the future while your present self battles with the misery of the current moment. The reason why this happens is simple, is purely down to goal orientation. Goal orientation creates either or conflicts in your brain, which is you're either a failure, aka you've achieved what you want, or you're a success, as in aka no, sorry, you're either a failure, you've not achieved what you want, sorry, or you're a success, meaning you've achieved what you want. So there's no real middle ground when you catch yourself in the failure state trap. This is quite a common one. I've fallen into it quite a few times, even despite to be fair, the whole system thing that I've been following wasn't really conscious to me until I had a deep think about it. Anyway, so what are systems? This is the bit that everyone likes, to be honest. Systems are the moving force for goals. The goals you set, they preserve the need for self-control and increase your overall happiness in the long run. One example of a system could be get to 10,000 followers on Medium. The system that you follow is to submit a blog post, a 5 to 6 minute blog post every weekday. That's an example of a system. The importance of systems. So systems are important because they introduce structure. I'll give you an example of a system, a well-known system, actually. I'm from the UK. Despite being in Ghana, I'm from the UK. They use a credit system to determine your borrowing eligibility. If anyone else is listening from the UK, you would agree with me when I'm saying I don't. It's not perfect, but what it does do well is it takes the guesswork out of who the bank thinks will pay them back when they borrow money. The same is true for your life when you introduce a system into it. It eliminates the guesswork about what you must do to achieve what you want. Without systems, your goals without systems create lots of chaos in your life. You're not sure about what to do. And that's why I think they're necessary parts of they're a necessary part of goal setting. Um, so at some point in this story, this talk, I'm so used to saying story because of media. At some point in this talk, I will give you a full breakdown of how you can build your own system. But let me give you some reasons in case you're not convinced why systems are necessary. We got first one, they focus on the skill. It embraces process. It said someone who's engaged in a system will say things like, I'm not necessarily where I want to be, but if I continue to do X, I'll take steps closer to where I want to go. Even if you don't achieve the goal, you've still developed a skill that will stay with you forever. So all of your efforts are not in vain. The second one, they create lifelong change. I kind of alluded to this just a minute ago. Unlike goals, systems emphasize the process. Again, we've just said that. However, they treat the cause of the problem. So remember what we were saying about having the symptom and the cause. Systems treat the cause of the problems, and because they're treating the cause, the outcomes, aka the symptoms, will change as a byproduct. For example, using the same example that we used above, if you're treating lousy spending habits, then the result is more disposable income. And then the last one is they embrace happiness in the present. So what systems do, they acknowledge that there's a gray zone between where you are. Okay, wait, let's do it like this. From where you are and where you want to be. They understand it's not just black and white. And you don't have to wait till you achieve what you want to be happy, because you can be happy now within that gray zone. You can fall in love with the sensation of moving towards where you want to go. Okay, so I said we're gonna go through a quick setup for how you can create a system. When I'm done, what can happen is, wait, hold on. I think I might have to announce the Q&A. Okay, cool. When I'm finished with how we create a system, I'm gonna be answering questions. So I've announced the Q&A. Feel free to leave some questions in there if you have some now. So cool. What is the key to creating a good system? The big secret is not much of a secret, but is the big secret is if you want to build a successful, effective system, you want to incorporate small, consistent wins into your daily life. You want to feel like you're winning each day as you take a step towards your goal. So how do you do this? Great question. Step one, you have to answer the question, what do you want to achieve? What do I want to achieve? Sit down, think about what you want, and be honest with yourself. Don't be afraid to go deep. For instance, saying something along the lines of, I want to be a professional footballer is not detailed enough if the truth is, I want to be one of the best professional footballers playing in a top 4 club that competes for titles in England and Europe. You see, there's a big difference there. See, the goal here is to define exactly what is on the other side. And the following steps, the steps that follow in this process, is how you build the bridge and how you start to walk across it. Okay, so step 2. The 5 whys. A lot of people like this one when I share it with them. The main gist is you kind of want to treat yourself like a 5-year-old. I mean, I've got a niece who's 5 years old. She'll ask you, why is it like that? You'll tell her, she'll be like, why? And you tell her, she'll be like, why? And you tell her, she'll be like, why? And it really gets you thinking. It makes you go deep about and understand what it is, what's really going on. And I say apply that same concept or that same analogy to yourself. You literally want to, what you're trying to do in this part of the process is you're trying to understand what the underlying problem is, or what the core problem that you're trying to solve is, because when you find that, you can identify what a win means. But I'll give you an example of a scenario. We'll use the professional footballer one again. So why do you want to be one of the best professional footballers playing in a top 4 club that competes for titles in England and Europe? Response: I have a chip on my shoulder. I want to prove people who doubted me wrong. Why? So in the future, people don't give up on me. Why? Kills my confidence when people give up on me. Why? Because I'm very attuned to what people think of me. But why? I have low self-esteem and it hurts me when I feel like I'm letting others down. 2. You now know that the root cause of the problems is low self-esteem. So each day as you develop and you work on yourself, your mission to become what you want is more about building your self-esteem. Therefore, if your self-esteem feels like it's improving over the time, you are effectively winning. So each day you go out and you take steps towards the goal, you're winning. You're building your self-esteem. Okay, step 3, learn the core actions required. I think this is where a lot of people get stuck. And I think the reason they get stuck is because they think they have to construct it all by themselves. You don't. There's people who've gone ahead of you in life and they've achieved the things that you want to achieve. Just follow their trail, copy and paste. I believe there's actually a concept about it. Success modeling. Yeah, others have already achieved what you want. Follow them. I think Tim Denning once wrote an article about how to go from 0 to 7 figures in 365 days. If your goal is to go from 0 to 7 figures in 365 days, model what he says. This is an online millionaire telling you how to build an online business in 365 days. Yeah. Then we've got step 4. Set your implementation intentions. I have to be careful when I say that. I always get my tongue twisted. When you've identified the actions that are required to get what you want, you must set intentions to implement them. This is where you specify what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and where you're going to do it. So if I was to give you a structure of how that would look, it would be I will, what you're going to do, action, at, when you're going to do it, time, in, where you're going to do it, location. Let me give you a built out an example. I will train using calisthenics and weighted exercise for 1 hour every weekday before work from 7 a.m. till 8 a.m. at the gym. That's an example. Or I'll give you another one. Since this is Medium Day, I'll use Medium as an example. I will create content for my Medium blog for 2 hours daily from 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. in my home office. Perfect. What these do is it works as a safety net for the times when your motivation is depleted, because when you're creating it, you're probably going to feel hyped up. Yeah, I'm going to stick with this. But there will be times when you just can't be bothered. But your system is what you fall back on. You say, oh, I don't want to do this, but it's 4 o'clock. I've got to do this till about 6 o'clock. Let me just go and do it. And then last but not least, we've got the review stage. In the review, in the review stage, what you're doing is, well, basically the implementation intentions you've taken will probably come from the person whose success you're modeling. So I'll give you an example for myself, for instance. When I first started, or not when I first started writing on Medium, when I first started taking Medium seriously, Tim Denning again wrote another article about his system for creating content. And I believe he said on Tuesdays and Saturdays or Wednesdays and Saturdays, he writes for the whole day. That's about 5 articles each day. I tried this. It doesn't work for me. I don't get into flow. I don't get any ideas. I go completely brain dead. I prefer to write each day. So I said, all right, cool. I don't feel good about how Steve Denning's process is. So I'm going to use my own process. I will adapt the process that Steve Denning has got to publish lots of content. However, I'm not going to do it in 2 days. I'm going to use 5 days to write the content. So the main gist of what I'm getting at here is you want to review the system and see how it works for you, or if it's bringing the results that you want. And if it's not, you have to adapt it for it to, quote unquote, bring you the results you want. Because at the end of the day, the system is only supposed to be a transportation vehicle from where you are to your goal. So let's wrap up. Goals are for giving you, they're great for giving you a sense of direction, but they're not enough to move you towards the goal, the actual thing you want to accomplish. You must build systems that allow you to continuously move towards the goal, even when you're void of motivation. And the simple way to create a system is number one, you define what you want. Number two, identify why you want it. Number three, oh my gosh. Oh, learn the actions you must take, aka success modeling. Number four, set implementation intentions. And then number five, review the system and adjust it if need be. That is my presentation. So I'm going to put a CTA for anyone that wants to learn more about this. I'm currently working on an ebook that will go into more depth of that will go into more details about this I'm speaking of, and you can grab it here. I'm going to put it on the screen, and feel free to ask any questions you have about systems, goal setting. 1 second, just put up the CTA. Oh no, what have I done? All right. Ebook. Copy link address. Cool. So we got about 10 minutes. Feel free to grab yourself a copy. Hold on, I might be. Okay, cool. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out the questions bit. Give me a second. Let me make it bigger. How do you fit your... sorry, give me a second. Are there tools or process? All right, cool. Perfect. Sorry. Are there tools or programs you found helpful in implementing the systems? Yeah. So I use Notion a lot for my, I can say, let me just say, I use it as my second brain. I dump all of my information in Notion. I also use Google Notes, but that's more for confidential things. I don't know why I'm still not keen on putting like financial data and stuff like that into my notes, but Notion is a big one. Calendly, the appointment booking system is great. What else is there? I think those two are like my big ones. I also have like email automation software, but those ones are, yeah. My main ones definitely Notion and Calendly. Can you repeat those 5 things? Hold on, let me approve your question. Yeah, so repeat those 5 things. The 5 things were: 1, define what you want, identify why you want it, learn the actions you must take, set implementation intentions, and then review the system. Those are the 5 things. I hope you got it this time. Where can we follow you on Medium? You can follow me on Medium at Kurtis Pykes. So KurtisPykes at Kurtis Pykes. I'll put a CTA here. KurtisPykes.medium.com. Medium, and follow me. go. That's my medium. Thanks, Nikita. Thanks, Nikita. Yes, those 5 points are posted in my article. So if you go onto my medium, which is in the CTA here, go to my medium, click the pinned article, and just go right down to the bottom. You'll see those 5 points noted there. You said learn the core actions required, the core actions related to. Hold on, let me just see. You said in part, learn the core actions required. The core actions are related to the executing the process steps or creating the process to start with. The core actions are, hold on. Executing the process steps. Oh, no. Creating the process, not executing the process. Sorry, that was a good question. You need to identify what steps you need to include in creating the process before you can start executing. So yeah, that's a very good question, Ted. Thanks. Yeah, creating the process. Systems, yay! I was a systems engineer with IBM. Best job ever. Also, I'm a certified human systems dynamic praxis partner. Systems thinking is so wonderful. Thanks for your session. Thank you, Susan. Thanks for your comments. I really appreciate it. I don't have any questions. I'm listening, I see, and I'm vibing deeply with everything you're saying. Thank you so much. Is it Fairy? Use my pronunciation. If it's Fairy, thank you. Linda, I don't have questions from you, but I got so much value from your presentation. Thank you, Linda. So many nice words. Okay. Anonymous asks, can you talk about how this compares or could work with setting OKRs? I'm not too sure of the acronym OKR. If you give me more information on what you mean by OKRs, maybe I might get some idea. If not, then it'll be something I'll have to review, and then just drop me a message or comment on one of my Medium stories. I look at everything. I'll get back to you when I've got some insight. Let's see what Alex says. Alex, any other resources you use to think about systems and how to build and improve efficiency and measure the success of systems? I mean, the main resources I use are Medium and Calendly for booking, and also Google Drive, Google Sheets, Google whatever, and Notion. I measure how to build and improve. At first I measure the success. Well, it depends on what I'm doing actually. So if it's just going to the gym, for example, I've built a system to help me consistently go to the gym so that I can get in shape. I'll be measuring myself every day and judging to see if my weight is going down or up. If it's going down and I don't want it to, then I know that something's up. I'll do some more research and figure out, oh wow, maybe I need to be eating correctly. Then I'll include my eating, start tracking that as well, and then see where it goes from there. So measuring the success is always just about looking at the destination you're trying to achieve, you're trying to arrive at, and checking the data that you're tracking to see if it aligns with what you're trying to arrive at. So yeah, that is what I would say. So thanks, Alex, for that question. I hope I answered your question, by the way. Oh, we got a lovely question from Daniel. How do you achieve clarity regarding what goals to pursue and what systems and processes to use to perceive them? If you fail to attain a goal, how do you recollaborate, pivot, stop negative thinking from undermining your future progress? Okay, so I've got 1 minute to answer this. I'm going to try my best to go as quickly as possible. I believe the way you gain clarity is just by being honest. We all have some sort of inclination for what we want to do. At least I believe, because for example, I've got a friend, they might have said, or let me just say, if you say to me, I want to be a millionaire, and I say to you, oh yeah, why don't you start a company collecting litter? Somebody might say, no, I don't want to be a millionaire with a company collecting litter. I want to be a millionaire in a company doing technology. See, so we all have some sort of inclinations towards what we want to do. I guess it's just about going deep and identifying what the true meaning of what it is we want to do is. And from there, just work backwards. So that is the clarity. Again, my time is up, but what we can do is if you drop me a comment on my Medium, any of my posts, I will see it and I'll get in contact with you and we can talk and I'll try and answer your questions better for you there. But thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you. Have a lovely rest of the day for Medium Day. And I hope you guys get lots of value from all of your discussions. Take care. Bye.